And welcome back to Summer of Stiller. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Like I said, I don't know why I said welcome back twice. I've already messed up this intro. Um, here is Justin, and we're discussing Tropic Thunder and The Watch. Okay, Justin, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, actually. How are you doing?
Great. I'm great. I got a jacket on. We're finally getting some nice weather here. Got the window
It's
open.
true.
It's great. We got to savor this probably 6 days we'll have this weather.
True.
Although you probably have a little bit better because you're a little more north. So
True. It was in the 30s yesterday. Very briefly.
wow. Still though, that's crazy. Nice. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed that skit. By the way, we worked really hard on that.
True.
Took a long time to come up with
We're
that.
already 30 minutes after we were supposed to.
It's been 3 hours actually. Justin, you don't have to cover for me. It's been 3 hours.
Okay.
We were working on the skit.
I didn't know if we were.
No. We were working on that skit for 3 hours, so I really, really hope you guys enjoyed that, and I think it will be worth it.
True. I agree.
I guess on the other hand, one thing we actually did do was start talking about the movies before the podcast even was rolling. There's no joke there. We're just like, oh yeah, in that scene and in the watch, and we're just like doing quotes and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just real quick, side note, I'm not sure if you're using the big mic in front of you or if you're using your headphones mic.
What do you mean?
I say this only because I thought I heard like a ruffling noise of it moving against your collar. Just checking. No, I guess not. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. We're good. Okay. So, yeah, phew. I suppose we could do the classic start chronologically and begin with Tropic Thunder, which of course came out in 2008. So I guess I'll take this one. So for those who don't know, Tropic Thunder, once again, like I feel like I've been saying this every episode. Maybe it's just a sign of me not realizing that Ben Stiller really has such a wide range of filmography that everyone is aware of to some degree, because it's like, I'm like, everyone knows Night at the Museum, obviously. Everybody knows Dodgeball. Everybody knows Zoolander. And now I'm like, oh, everybody knows Tropic Thunder. You know what I mean? It's like it's never ending. He's got so many hits.
That's true. And Meet the Parents.
You're right. That was the first one. So it's like everyone. I'm like, yeah, you guys know about this. This is the biggest Ben Stiller.
He's a huge household name, bro.
He is. It's so weird to think about. Do you think he actually is a huge household name? Like, do you think
we're just like delusional?
I can't tell. Like, guys, I was gonna say leave a comment.
Yeah, comment whether Ben Stiller is a household name in your house.
How many members of your family know? Go around, ask them to name 2 Ben Stiller movies. Okay, if they get that correct, then you drop a comment and you say the names and address of the family members who. So
we can mail them
the DVD. Squad. Well, actually, this is a good time to mention. We're finally doing it. This is the last time you guys our video listeners will see, and our audio listeners will hear about the Suicide Squad DVD. Because, unfortunately, in the 60-hour window, no one commented and was able to steal the DVD.
Fortunately for the prize winner, though.
Fortunately for this is now yours. We're going to film, I'm sure we'll film a little promo of me giving it to you, sort of thing. But it's going to be sad. It's been a year. We've been doing this for a year. What's next?
True.
DVD wise, I don't know, but I can tell you there's a pretty nice giveaway coming up. I don't know if you remember. I mentioned this to you. The idea I had for the finale. Hopefully, the finale time, if the timeline goes well, episode. Should we talk about it now, or do you think we should save it? Just to get people going. Okay, let's just say it now because we know that people. It took a year to get the DVD.
True.
We should at least give it a few extra weeks. So, guys, I'm very proud to announce. You guys remember we did the Shrek giveaway? It was a very popular one. They got a lot of views on my story. not any more participants than a normal DVD giveaway, but it got a lot of views and likes. So relative again, this is like 2 or 3 more. But we're proud to announce as kind of a sequel to that giveaway, we're going to be doing another movie showing giveaway. So you will be attending the premiere weekend of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, releasing on, let me just double check that date, December 21st. So the weekend of December 21st, you are going to get to see Puss in Boots 2 with Justin and me. And once again, we're willing to drive a little bit, not any farther than like an hour, but if north, south, Tampa, Venice sort of thing, just, we'll work it out. And
all of our dedicated Tampa listeners.
Yeah.
They're in like St. Pete.
Martin, I know you're out there. Yeah, true. I'm at USF.
Soltram, you want to...
Soltram, you want to see Puss in Boots? The ironic thing about these giveaways is if we told any of these people we were going to see this movie, do you want to come? They'd probably say yes anyway. Yeah, so
yeah.
it's funny. But anyway, that's the giveaway. So now we're to the hard part. So to enter into this giveaway... we're going to be doing another... So for the Shrek thing, I don't know if you remember, Justin, for the audience as well, we did a trivia question. So we did a trivia thing that was who won the Bad Boys DVD and was given a Minions DVD instead. Of course, the answer is Kevin Zoo. You guys knew that. But I'm thinking that was a pretty fair game. It gets people to participate, even though, because they're not going to listen to the episode. So, we're going to do that again. So there's going to be a trivia question. However, if you are an eager listener right now and you want some brownie points, maybe you want a little preferred selection if there's more than one winner, I'm going to give you a chance right now. And I want you to comment on the Instagram post for this episode a 3-sentence response to the following prompt. The prompt is, should Robert Downey Jr. have done blackface in Tropic Thunder? / that. Okay, 2 options. That one or would that work today? And what are the social implications of Tropic Thunder releasing today? And dude, answer with at least...
Okay, continue. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm coming with this from the top of my head, so I don't...
I'm saying people haven't even commented, like, anything.
Yeah.
Not even a single word. And you're asking them to respond 3 sentences to specific prompts.
I thought it would be... That's why, I thought that would be comedic. But obviously
it is
totally
hilarious.
Impractical. Maybe, I don't know if you have a better idea. I don't know. But
no, I think that's a great one, actually. I think.
And this is just the extra. This isn't even for the...
Right, the main, so if you do this, then on top of that, if you're tied with the correct answers on the trivia, that'll push you over the edge.
That'll push you... Then we'll be like, oh, well, this guy answered the... Mm-hmm. The Robert Downey Jr. Blackface prompt. Maybe.
Exactly. Right. And if multiple people both do the comment and on top of that also both get the trivia right, then it's another tie. At that point, then we'll delve specifically into the actual quality and content of your writing.
Yes.
And then on top of that, if that also is a tie, then you actually have to... You can send it.
God damn it. It'll be a funny censor though. But yeah, no. If there's multiple ties, we will... Here's a better one to replace that censored one. We put you in a fistful of frags versus mode against... You get to choose either against Justin or me. And the winner of that versus mode round. So we're talking 14 minutes on desert, on forest, on a river. Not river. On desert, forest, we'll work out the exact scoring later. But I think that'd be more fun. It's a free game. It's on Steam.
And if you can't run it, like Connor, who claims it won't work on his computer.
Actual bullshit. Yeah.
I think it works on every computer.
It literally works on every... Unless you have a computer from the year 2005, it will work on your computer.
Which is only 3 years before the game came out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you can run it. But if you can't, then it's fist fight.
Okay.
Without Nabeel, you get to choose.
And if you choose me, that's an assured win. So you choose Justin. You guys, Was anyone else at Lido Day? I would not choose Justin. I would not choose Justin. Because you guys ever seen footage of like a spider monkey? Like,
those are doctored photos.
Are there photos / videos? I've never seen any.
There are videos. Yeah.
Okay, because it only exists in my memory right now. I want to see some videos.
Yeah. There's the video of me in the surf, like around Tommy's back. I have him in a headlock, and here's the thing: I don't remember how this happened. There was like a straight elbow or like a fist or something, because there's a lot of scrambling. Something caught me in the lip, and so my lip was bleeding. And my positioning, we're on the ground. I'm around his back, and he's on his back, so I'm like pinned to the ground underneath him.
Yeah, I remember this.
But my head is like over his shoulder, and it looks like I'm biting his ear because of my position in my mouth, and there's blood coming out of it. And it genuinely looks like I'm like biting this kid's ear off, which is why, maybe not specifically because of the ear thing, but the blood is why Kevin Zhu came in and broke it up before the fight finished.
Holy shit.
So technically there was no real winner.
Okay.
There was no real winner, and it seems kind of like dick move of me to be on the podcast where Tommy's not here to be able to defend his own viewpoint, but let me just be the one to say I would have won because I had him in a headlock that he's not going anywhere.
You literally had him in a headlock, and before he could tap out, Kevin's like, it's over. So
True.
And almost everybody on, not both sides, but you know what I mean? Everybody I've heard of who's talked about this agrees that you won. In fact, Tommy himself agrees that you won. I know he's not here, but I can quote him directly because I drove him home afterwards.
I remember hearing he thought that I cheated somehow.
Well, he's like, it's not fair. But the point is, even though he said it wasn't fair, he still acknowledged that you won. He was clearly pissed that you won.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do think it should. I don't know how officially we can call it because it didn't run to completion. It's possible something there. It's impossible to know what could have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, the whole issue with the fact that it was canceled early. I thought there was a reason. Like, if I had known that the reason Kevin Zhu broke it up was because I had blood on my lip, which I didn't even know. Like, I didn't have, like, my lip wasn't in pain, probably because of the adrenaline.
You would have attacked Kevin Zhu. If I had known, I would have fucking attacked Kevin Zhu.
No, I probably would have just, like, been like, dude, it's fine. Let's just finish this fight.
Yeah, no, and then Kevin Zhu would call the cops.
I literally didn't even notice if I hadn't seen the video, I would have no memory that my lip had been bleeding.
Yeah, no, I will say my only memory of it is you guys were so if you enter, it's Lido Day, you enter the waters in front of you, obviously. There's a space on the right, there's a space on the left. I think the left side has the bench, right? You guys were on the left side of the clearing. I was on the right side, sitting there with Manny and Chris Wolf, and I look over, you guys are fighting, and so distinct in my head is like Tommy's standing there, and he's like, "Oh, video listeners will get a kick out of this. Audio listeners, I'm sorry." he's like, you're in front of him, and he's like, and then I don't know. This is just my memory, but then in a flash, he's like, "Ugh," and you're climbing on his back. Like a monkey, like an actual
monkey. Of Colossus.
Climbing on his back, and then you have your arms around his neck like this. It was the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life.
I remember. I don't know how this happened, but we like rapidly worked our way into the water. So like to the point where we were like, he was like trying to get me underwater. I feel like
trying to drown you.
No, not trying to drown me, but obviously like I can't hang on to him if I'm underwater like that.
True. Yeah.
So I mean, we were like in the surf. There's like water splashing. It is just so funny to me. Also, for the context of any viewers or listeners who have no idea what we're talking about, it was a class reunion the summer after we graduated high school at the beach, and these were like organized wrestling matches that were played to tap out, or
which only happened at
breaks it up.
Only happened correct me if I'm wrong, but only happened at this specific Lido Day. Like I don't remember there being.
Okay, so there were wrestling matches, hence why me getting hit in the lip was not like an intentional aspect of the fight. It's just a byproduct. It's not
Yeah.
hazard. This wasn't like punching and shit. This was just only like grips, and that was it. That's why I had him in a headlock. Anyway, there was also a sanctioned boxing match. There's a few actually. I don't know if this is the same Lito day though. There was Michael Forbes and somebody, I don't remember who.
I remember this. Maybe? Yeah.
And then there was also Javier and Anthony Angelastro.
Jesus.
That was a brutal one because Javier just like decked him because everyone thought it was like a playful thing, and he just like decked him, and everyone was like, "Okay, fight's over.
Right.
This needs to stop." Yeah, I don't know if that was the same Lito day or not.
Yeah, no. Man, Lito days were interesting. But yeah, no. And then, for reference, Tommy's like pretty tall. He's a pretty tall guy. He's like 6'1", maybe 6'2". I don't know at this point, but he's much taller relatively to Justin. So just to see the Shadow of the Colossus thing was like absurd. Like, but anyway, I digress. We all know Tommy's
we've deeply digressed from Tropic.
Yeah, I don't know how this started, but Puss in Boots? No, that's not it.
Oh, the fist fight.
Yes, yeah.
Puss also, Boots, yeah. Again, that was not a fist fight, so you might still have a chance against me, maybe.
True, but anyway,
you don't have a chance if it was against Javier, though.
Remember to comment that prompt, and/or look out for the trivia question coming in the coming weeks. All right, so now we can get to Tropic Thunder. Released in 2008, directed by Ben Stiller, like so many other great Stiller movies, directed by himself. Obviously, the premise of this is it's basically a satirical look at, as I just read somewhere when I was trying to research the Robert Downey Jr. thing. I think they made a good phrasing of it, which was that it's a satirical analysis and mockery of the dark underbelly of Hollywood, including the production of movies, PR, just prima donna actors, and then also just the state of Hollywood. At the beginning we get a bunch of trailers for fake movies, obviously all hilarious, including one of my favorite ones, which is Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Kirk Lazarus. This is before his blackface. This is when he's an Australian man, playing in a movie with Tobey Maguire,
as himself
playing Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire playing Tobey Maguire.
Where MTV's Best Kiss Award winner.
Yeah. So they play two priests / monks. Is it monks or priests? I don't know.
Monks, yeah.
Monks who are having a extramarital, not marital because they're monks, but they're having an affair with each other, even though they're supposed to be celibate monks. Which is great. Very funny.
Devil's Alleyway.
True. That's what it's called. But yeah, so it's a kind of parody of all those things combined. So, the premise of the plot of the movie itself is there's this Vietnam veteran named Staff Sergeant Four Leaf who has a memoir called Tropic Thunder, and they're making it into a film. And the star of this is obviously Ben Stiller's character, Tug Speedman, who is a kind of a washed-up actor, former action hero. One of the trailers you see at the beginning is for one of his sequels of his many long-running
sixth movie. He's like a Sylvester Stallone type character.
Yeah,
he does one like goofy action movie that has like 8 sequels that are all.
And he has a funny line in that too, where he's like, "I'm coming back again."
No, it's "Here we go again."
Yeah, here we go again.
Dude, and he's got like delivery. It's so good.
It's perfect. So he's one of the actors in this movie. Then there's obviously, like I mentioned, Kirk Lazarus, who underwent for this role. He's like this is a parody of like sort of the Jared Leto type of actors who are like method actors to a fault, where it just makes no sense and is insensitive and terrible, which we'll obviously discuss further later. So he gets, rather than just doing blackface, he gets actual. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he got actual surgery.
It was pigmentation. Yeah. It was pigmentation correction or some shit.
Yeah, like something like that, which is absurd.
Right.
And I feel like is another reason why it kind of underscores like this guy is supposed to be a piece of shit who doesn't understand what he's doing. It is not like, but anyway, we'll get to that. So that's another actor. Then you have Jeff Portnoy played by Jack Black.
Jeff Portnoy, and Jeff Portnoy.
Right. So he has a series of movies called Fatties where he plays all the different roles in fat suits. Kind of like it's a parody of what's it called, Tyler Perry movies.
Medea, right?
Yeah, Medea by Tyler Perry. Which is just God, and that's another one of. So by the way, it's not clear. All the trailers at the beginning are showing us kind of like who these actors are.
Al Pacino.
Right, Al Pacino, another funny guy, who has a lot of commercials for his branded energy drink, Booty Sweat. Booty Sweat, that's it.
And his energy bar, Bust a Nut.
Yeah. Bust a Nut, the song that he sings is like, I want that pussy. Yeah, like it's very, very machoistic kind of person, which comes back up later, obviously.
Dude, something insane.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I just had to say.
No, this is good.
I didn't know, obviously. Okay, so you know Percy Jackson.
Right. Is he Grover?
He's Grover.
No.
And in my mind, I'm like
I knew he was
like a teenager.
Yeah.
I feel like he could, I guess, pull off like early 20s in Tropic Thunder. And the thing is, the craziest part is that this was only 2 years after Tropic Thunder.
Holy shit! And he played like an 18-year-old in Percy Jackson. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I knew he looked familiar too. I just couldn't place it. That's cool.
Brandon T. Jackson. I have not seen him in much.
True.
And some of the things I know I've seen, I don't remember his character. Specifically, I don't remember Percy Jackson movies. I know I watched them. Don't remember them. And he was also in Tooth Fairy with The Rock, which is hilarious. Nice. But I don't remember who he played. And of course, he was in the first Fast and Furious.
It says in Tooth Fairy he played Duke, and in Fast and Furious he played Alex (parentheses BMW driver). So, nice. Anyway, but yeah, so these are the actors, and of course you have the director, played hilariously by Steve Coogan.
True.
One of the funnier parts of this first quarter of the movie. One of the, not that it's unfunny, but he's very funny in it. And then you also have the pyrotechnics guy played by
Danny McBride. Classic. It is a role made exactly.
Yeah. Must have been written for him. So we open up, everything's going wrong. Pyrotechnics are going off at the wrong time. They blow up a shit ton of forest.
$4 million explosion, and the cameras aren't even rolling.
True, the newspaper headline. Tug Speedman can't cry on command in the scene that he needs to.
True. Dude, with his fucking his like Demogorgon hands, bro.
Yeah. That's also another part of this is a key part of the memoir that the film is being made of is that and you can see this guy, the sergeant, who is in the real life story. He's missing his hands, which comes back up later too. So
I don't think he's the sergeant.
Oh,
I think Robert Downey Jr.'s character is the sergeant.
Okay. Correctly. All right. Well, the military guy. I don't know. I don't know.
Is it a lieutenant?
Maybe. It says. Let me look. hook-handed Vietnam veteran Staff Sergeant John
Staff
Forleaf
Sergeant. Okay.
Tayback. Yeah.
Staff Sergeant. My bad.
Good. So this whole fucking catastrophe happens. So Forleaf is like, we should just drop him in the fucking middle of the forest and let him fucking jizzle over each other and we'll catch it on camera. And
nice Nick Nolte impression.
I don't know. Anyway, and then they're like, what are you, fucking stupid? Why would we do that? And then he ends up convincing the director to do it anyway.
Tom Cruise.
Right, of course, iconic.
He's the producer, right?
He's a studio executive, I think.
Right. Yeah, he's just providing them. He's funding the project.
Yeah. He's one of the big wigs in Hollywood who's funding the project, and doesn't give his approval. But anyway, they go ahead and do it because the director is very desperate because the actors are all being fucking assholes and not working well. Jack Black's, yeah.
No, continue.
I was just going to mention before I forget, Jack Black's character also has a drug addiction, which is important. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so there's like a party to celebrate the first week of filming being done, even though they haven't actually accomplished anything in the filming. And at the party, Steve Coogan's character is going around trying to talk to all the actors, and it's all unsuccessful, which eventually drives him to side with Nick Nolte's idea of actually going in the jungle and doing it. But at that party, there's a very, very brief shot of who I think is uncredited, but I think it's Justin Theroux reprising his role as the evil DJ from Zoolander, or at least referencing the role.
You're right. Because I remember that now.
You see someone who looks exactly like him, and I'm like, and Justin Theroux wrote the movie and created the story alongside Ben Stiller. So
True.
Clearly he's there, and it looks like it has to be. It literally just has to be him.
Yeah, no.
Like, he has like the dreads in the same outfit, and he's like spinning a vinyl.
It was so surreal. Was probably why I forgot. It's like they could have just taken that frame out of Zoolander.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks exactly the same. We also forgot to mention Jay Baruchel as Kevin Sandusky.
So true.
Another funny part of the movie.
Classic. He doesn't have a trailer at the beginning of the movie, though, unfortunately. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, that would have. Well, this is kind of. I guess it's also kind of like this is his big break, right? Like.
Yeah. As his character.
Yeah. So they drop the actors in the middle of the jungle, and they've rigged the jungle with hidden cameras and special effects explosions. And they're like, you have to get to this spot by this time and memorize all your lines and act the whole movie out in real time. But immediately the director steps on a landmine and gets blown up. And it turns out that the area they were dropped in wasn't even, they're not even in Vietnam anymore. They're in the center of this, like, what is it called? They do a joke where it's like not the Bermuda Triangle, but like the Golden Triangle.
Right.
Which is like the heroin center, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the drug trafficking, like highways or something they call it like that.
Yeah. So they're immediately like confronted by soldiers and shit.
Right.
You love a good gag where the main character thinks that something's going on when another thing is going on. So the classic, like, Ben Stiller still thinks he's in a movie. All the soldiers are there.
Dude, what is like a really classy example of that? It's like,
it's so weird.
It's so
like, it feels so like it's been done so many times, but I can't think of an example.
Similar this is like super micro, like condensed example of that is Ben Stiller in Starsky and Hutch when he's playing Russian roulette with the guy in prison, or I guess in like the interrogation room, and he doesn't realize that the bullet's fallen back into his gun. So he thinks it's empty, but he's actually like pretending like it has a bullet in it, but it actually does have a bullet in it.
It feels like a kind of like a Pink Panther, Peter Sellers sort of vibe. You know what I mean? I feel like there's this part of Pink Panther. Couldn't tell you which one. Couldn't tell you. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
It's like a Charlie Chaplin sketch.
True. Ben Stiller is the modern day Charlie Chaplin.
Hey, not my words. That's according to Robert Downey Jr.
I mean, if Robert Downey Jr. said it, must be true.
He knows Ben Stiller better than I do.
True. But yeah, so that's a classic dynamic that's going on. Obviously, Ben Stiller kind of tries to take leadership of the group. I think he's also the only one who has memorized the lines and stuff, and is also trying to act the movie out at the same time. He kind of rubs off the wrong way with Kirk Lazarus, who's like a more obviously very pretentious actor, more accomplished actor. Also, I think he's like a 5-time Academy Award winner.
Yes.
So that's like another part of this is like Tug Speedman's insecurity as an actor and being washed up. Okay, also we have to talk about Simple Jack, which is like so absurd. Yeah. So Simple Jack is Tug Speedman's biggest failure in America, where he plays someone with a mental disability. It's kind of like if you guys seen Mice and Men, you know, Lenny and Mice and Men. It's like a whole movie based around Lenny from of Mice and Men. You know what I'm talking about?
Do I know? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I feel that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that works. He's a farmhand.
Yeah, so he is grappling with that along with just being washed up in general. So he talks to Kirk Lazarus about that. Do you want to jump in here?
Yeah. So yeah, where were we in the plot?
Director's been blown up. Now they're all in the jungle. Ben Stiller's trying to be the leader.
Right. So there's already some of the characters, specifically Kirk Lazarus, is like starting to second guess whether or not it's real, and they're like trekking through the jungle, and also Danny McBride and Nick Nolte's character, Nick Nolte being the veteran that Ben Stiller is playing in the movie within the movie. There's like a side plot of them starting to realize that something's wrong because they're not responding on the radio, etc. So they go to check it out. They get kidnapped by the same like drug runner, like drug farmer, or whatever you want to call them. The golden triangle criminals that are in the jungle shooting at Ben Stiller and his team, who all he specifically is certain that it's still the movie. They're kind of on the fence. Kind of culminates as they're like trekking through the forest in a big argument between Kirk Lazarus and Tug Speedman about whether or not it's real, and they all decide to turn around except Tug Speedman. So Ben Stiller's character, he's like, I'm gonna go out and finish the movie by myself without you. And he trudges off into the jungle, and they all decide to turn around. After, I don't know, some amount of time, Ben Stiller ends up getting caught. But here's the thing. They're given, specifically Ben Stiller's character, Tug Speedman, is given a packet of all of the different scenes that they're supposed to act out. And all of the events that are happening to them are literally these scenes in the packet in order. So he gets captured, and he's like, oh, scene 14, captured and taken to POW camp, right on schedule.
Also, when they're like, I think this is probably when he realizes, but afterwards they've captured him, they're torturing him. And they keep dunking him in the water, and he's like, Damien, cut! Yeah. Every time he comes out of the water. Just I don't know, it's a classic gag.
It was good.
But yeah, so then at the same time, the other part of the squad is trying to deal with Jack Black's heroin addiction. He's becoming like
he's going through withdrawals because of that stole the last
jelly beans.
Yeah.
He's like trying to do the heroin in secret, and Jay Birch's character comes up to him. He's like, "Hey man, what you doing?" or something. I don't know. And he's like, "Well, nothing, man. Just eating jelly beans," and like drops. You're saying a bat comes in and takes it, or I thought he just
Yeah.
drops it everywhere.
He does spill some in that scene, but a bat also steals it after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's like, get the Jay Baruchel asks for a jelly bean, and he's like, hell no, you're not the only one who like gets upset when he can't eat his jelly beans.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah. So we should also mention that at the same time, parallel to this, we're getting the executive side. I know we mentioned Les Grossman, but like also Ben Stiller's manager, played by Matthew McConaughey, who is also a little confused because at the beginning of the movie, Ben Stiller was like, so they set up the TiVo. Ben Stiller's like, no, actually they didn't. But anyway, that's not the point. Whatever. It just kind of seemed like a one-off joke. But then Matthew McConaughey gets under the impression, from what little information he has from the calls from Ben Stiller, that he thinks that he's still talking about the TiVo. So he thinks the movie is still going on, and Ben Stiller just doesn't have TiVo. Again, this is also, by the way, TiVo, 2008 moment. Yeah.
My aunt still uses TiVo.
Really?
Yeah, TiVo's like live. I don't know, whatever the fuck people watch on live television.
I don't think I even ever fully understood what TiVo was.
I think it's my knowledge of TiVo is fundamentally rooted in the line from the Bee Movie, where Barry's like talking to Vanessa while they're walking to the grocery store, and he's like, "So TiVo, you can just pause live TV," and she's like, "Yeah, you don't have anything like that," and he's like, "Oh, well, we have HIVO. It's a disease, a horrible, horrible disease."
I don't remember that line. That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's essentially, I think you can like pause, record. When someone TiVos something, it's like recording it, so you can just watch it.
So yeah, I think it's just like that was the first cable box to have that feature. Obviously,
right.
2 years after that, everything, no matter what provider had that feature. But I guess first it was TiVo. So it's like, oh, I need to get TiVo so you can record live TV. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, he doesn't think he's getting TiVo, so he storms over to Les Grossman's office, who obviously played hilariously by Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is evidently very close with Ben Stiller in real life. One of Ben Stiller's biggest first gigs was doing a MTV parody. This is when Mission Impossible 2 came out, which I think was 2006. Let me just double check. 2000. My bad. So this is in the year 2000. Mission Impossible 2 just came out, and they did a parody of it for MTV where Ben Stiller played Tom Cruise's stunt double, who's like fucking insane. I don't know if have you seen this? We haven't talked about this. Okay, yeah. It's hilarious. Everyone should check it out. It's great. But anyway, I guess from that point forward, from what I've read and seen interviews and stuff, Tom Cruise and Ben Stiller, they've always wanted to like work on a movie together. So this was like the moment for that to happen. Obviously, created one of, I think the number one most thing I still see about Tropic Thunder is Les Grossman.
His dance.
The dance. It's hilarious.
True.
Still funny.
Like some like gross prosthetics that make like his hands like bloated and like.
It's like the way that he moves in the prosthetics is so like entrancing. Like, you know what I mean?
He has like a fake ass that's huge.
Yeah. Honestly, like it definitely must take skill to be able to dance in that.
Yeah, dude, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Entrancing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, you got a point. He's got a point.
So that's also happening parallel to this. And when Matthew McConaughey goes to the office and is like, "Better get him TiVo right now, Jack," or something. That's my Matthew McConaughey impression.
TiVo. We have TiVo in the claws.
True.
That's real life Matthew McConaughey doing it, not the character.
Thank God you didn't say all right. I would have had to boot you.
Have you seen those Matthew McConaughey Lincoln car commercials?
Yeah,
dude, they're so good.
Have you seen the Jim Carrey parody?
I'm not. No.
Iconic, and like this was probably maybe like 2012 tier era, but there was like a probably one of the few funny modern day SNL skits. It was like Jim Carrey was on the show, and he just did like a 4 minute long parody of that where he's just. Anyway, we should watch it. It's great. People should check it out. But it's at this point that they realize when trying to call Ben Stiller again that he's been captured by actual terrorists. Matthew McConaughey is obviously like, we got to get him out of there. Les Grossman is like, we'll make a lot more money if we don't and get the insurance claim. And then Matthew McConaughey is like, no, you can't do that. And Les Grossman is like, do you like this format? What does he tell him? Fucking.
He's like,
the G.
He's essentially,
yeah.
He's like, listen, you'll get a private airplane and a lot of money if you let him die. And
then he starts dancing.
He starts dancing to hone in his.
Also, Bill Hader's his assistant.
Yeah, true. Who has like a weird accent in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like doing a little voice. But yeah,
But that's also the last time we see Matthew McConaughey till the end of the movie.
No, there's another scene later that's like a short, silent clip of him like looking at a picture of him like hugging Ben Stiller because they've been friends for 15 years. And then he like looks over his other hand and it's like a private aircraft like a magazine for like private aircraft owners.
Oh yeah, I remember that because also in the corner of this seems to be his house. There's like a simple Jack animated cut out like very funny,
like the Globo Gym cutout.
Yeah,
Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
So the other crew of people kind of have a heart to heart. And they collectively decide to go back and save Ben Stiller's character. I think there are some funny bits. This is obviously generalizing a good bit of the movie, but there are some funny bits where Jack Black's on withdrawals. He's like, "You gotta leave me tied up, please. Don't untie me, no matter what I say, please." Because obviously they're going to a heroin farm.
True.
Also, you have the reveal that Al Pacino is gay. Which is obviously comedic relative to the fact of how macho he acts. Which is
comment on rappers.
True. And then there's Kirk Lazarus kind of starting to, because he's being called out obviously by Al Pacino. So you kind of get the start of that arc, what's going to lead to the climax of the movie. Where he's questioning the integrity of his actions. But yeah, so they go back to save Ben Stiller, and based on they plan a rescue attempt based on the script. So Kirk Lazarus impersonates a farmer because he's like, I learned Chinese for this other movie I did.
Yeah, he's talking about how he worked at like a Chinese
textile
sweatshop. A textile factory for like 8 months or something to like prepare for his role. So he knows Mandarin, which also is, I think, one of the funniest scenes in the movie is him speaking Mandarin to these.
True.
Because like some of the lines are like incomprehensible gibberish where he's using the wrong words, and some of them are like they make sense, but they're worded so like comedically. It reminds me of like that meme format from like 9th grade, if you remember, where memes were like verbose, where it was just like the whole comedic effect of something was that instead of like saying something normally, it was drawn out using like fucking every single word has been like thesaurused to be like the most complex way you could possibly say it. And that's what it kind of seems like. The way he's like using these sentences to just be like get across simple points, but they're said very like almost poetically or like abstractly, where you're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but no one would say that.
Yeah, like in my glorious rice farm, I brought this expedient gift to, like, yeah, I know, I think I know what you mean.
He's like, I found this foreign devil. It's pretty good. I want to look up Because there's a few hilarious examples from that I thought were very funny.
True. And then during this scene also, he's obviously like pretending to be a rice farmer, so he's like covered head to toe. He has a straw hat on. Jack Black is there too, not helping because he's going through withdrawals, just like keeps yelling things, and then Robert Downey Jr. just like spanks him multiple times, shut him up. Any luck with the lines there?
Hilariously, they are not included on the Scriptorama transcript.
Wow, that's weird. So it's just like speaks just Chinese.
Like, no, it's not even mentioned. It's just Jack Black's interjections where he's like, "Ow, ow, the straps are too tight. Ow, you're whipping me."
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we should also mention before they do this whole plan, we see that the Flaming Dragon people, by the way, that's the name of their gang, the Flaming Dragon. They recognize him, Ben Stiller, from Simple Jack. And they're like, "You're Simple Jack." And they all like bow. "You're Simple Jack. We love Simple Jack." And the one guy's like, "You should have been nominated."
Sure.
His face, like, "Yeah, thanks." And he has a little line where he's like, "Yeah, no, it's just it would be an honor. It was an honor to be. It would be an honor to be nominated." The guy's like, "Oh, you were nominated." He's like, No, I'm just saying that to be nominated would be such an honor." It's a funny little Ben Stiller.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So then they force him to every night, I guess, give them a live rendition of Simple Jack, which obviously is enough to break his mind. And by the time that they go in to rescue him, he's like, first of all, he's claiming that this one Chinese kid is his son. Give him like, "My son gave me this." I don't remember the son's name, but anyway, he's like acting crazy, talking about how he doesn't want to go home.
This little twig, buddy.
He's like, "I get a standing ovation every night I am home," or something like that.
A standing room only audience.
Yeah, true. Standing room only audience every night I am home. And then it's kind of like a good parallel there, because it's like in Kirk Lazarus like trying to get Ben Stiller to leave and come home and break out of his trance. At the same time, you get the climax of the Kirk Lazarus character.
True.
Realizing that what he's doing is insensitive and terrible and not helpful as an actor. At the same time, and then he obviously wipes off and he's Australian again.
Or am I? Father O'Malley.
Yes.
He has a
whole thing. Yeah.
I couldn't find it on any script online, so I'm actually going to have to go through myself.
Wow.
That's the sad part.
All right, well, then I'll just keep going, I guess. Jack Black has a little face-off with the leader of the gang. Slams him into the room with all the heroin. And then he has his little moment where he rejects doing the heroin. What else? I think that's about it for the whole action. Yeah.
He incapacitates two armed guards by shoving heroin in their face.
True. Yeah. And then they have to get to the helicopter that Danny McBride is in. And they've rigged the bridge to explode. Funny moment where Ben Stiller's like, "All those people, I have to go back because they're my family. I understand these people." Runs over the bridge. Obviously, we hear gunshots. He comes racing back. He's like, "I was wrong." The kid who he claimed was his son is like stabbing him in the neck.
True.
Obviously, one of the funniest moments is he tosses the kid over the fucking bridge. Runs into the helicopter. And then Matthew McConaughey appears.
running through the forest.
Running through the forest, dirty as fuck. He's like, I got the TiVo! I got the TiVo! As the helicopter is like taking off. And the leader of the gang is pointing an RPG at the helicopter, throws the TiVo box up. The RPG hits the TiVo, and it absorbs the blast, saving the gang in the helicopter. And
which is a direct parallel to in the actual fake movie they were trying to film. The real Four Leaf, who, by the way, I don't remember if you mentioned this or not, has been revealed to have been a fraud and not actually have done anything.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
But in the movie script they were initially supposed to film, Ben Stiller's character, Tug Speedman's character, Four Leaf, dives in front of a grenade and blows his hands up to prevent it from blowing up a helicopter. So now in this scenario, it's the TiVo instead of his hands blowing up the rocket instead of a grenade to save the helicopter.
Very good point. But yeah, so we then cut to, we see Ben Stiller looking out at all the destruction. Cut, zoom out. It's the Oscar nomination screen. We're at the Oscars. He's nominated for Best Actor in Tropic Thunder. Oh no, Tropic Blunder. I don't know what the caption is. Justin said it before, but it's like the most expensive fake.
Yeah, most expensive fake true, like fake real war movie, war story movie, something like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Then we get to the end of the film. Les Grossman and Bill Hader are lamenting their win. They have a little moment together. It's funny. Bill Hader walks out of the room. Tom Cruise gets up, turns on the music, Ludacris Get Back, and dances. And then the credits roll as he dances. And that is Tropic Thunder.
Ben Stiller beat Tobey Maguire and John Voight.
True.
And Tom Hanks and Sean Penn. Those are the other contestants.
Yep. So that was the plot of Tropic Thunder. And
yeah, it was extensive.
Yeah. As we always do. And again, if you guys don't like this format, please feel free to let us know. But
it's called The True Story Behind the Making of the Most Expensive Fake True War Story Ever.
It's hilarious. So, was this your first watch or rewatch of Tropic Thunder?
It's like my fifth fucking watch, dude. I've been watching this shit since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel this stacks up with because this is often quoted as one of the greatest comedies, modern comedies at least.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not like, I wouldn't say greatest comedy tier.
It is really good though.
I do think it is really good, and maybe it is just because I've watched it so many times. I feel like it's easy to forget how creative a lot of the content in the movie is.
True. The question is how we're gonna rank it.
That is the question. Might give it a 7.
I'm thinking 7 as well. I know we already have a lot, but
7 is on par with Night at the Museum 2 and Along Came Polly and Cable Guy for me. For you, it's Along Came Polly, Heartbreak Kid, Night at the Museum 2, and Meet the Fockers.
That feels about right. I don't have to distinguish them during the summary of Stiller, but that feels right to me.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Alright, 7-7. Nice. This is simple.
True.
The Watch.
Did you know that Owen Wilson was originally supposed to be playing Matthew McConaughey's role?
I did not. That's pretty funny, though.
This is real. This is not a joke. He attempted suicide, and because of that, just separately, obviously, Ben Stiller gave the role to Matthew McConaughey so that Owen could relax.
Interesting.
Never knew that.
I did not know that either.
But yeah, are there any final thoughts on Tropic Thunder?
I guess him and Ben So that is, and Jay Baruchel are buddies because he was also in Ninth Museum too,
True.
as Joey Motorola in
He also
the
gets the one
Kiss
post credit scene.
Yeah, of course.
Where he finds the iPhone.
Yeah. Hey,
But
Ma,
yeah, no.
I'm taking apart the iPhone.
But yeah, no. Tropic Thunder, really good. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be a pretty brief episode because of how I think these are very straightforward. Or at least Tropic Thunder is pretty straightforward as far as the public discourse goes about it. The watch will be a little more interesting.
Smoke and mirrors, guys. Welcome to the movie factory.
True. Shortly after Steve Coogan gets blown up, licking the gore dripping out of his disembodied head.
And Steve Coogan also in Night at the Museum movies. As
True.
Jedediah. Not Jedediah.
So true.
Jedediah.
Octavius. Jedediah's infinite rage.
The fucking when we thought that when he was gonna infiltrate the White House.
True.
That would have been awesome.
The Obama Steve Coogan scene that we desperately
God, I wish. Alright, so yeah, we can get to the watch now.
Alright.
Here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people are aware of the watch in general.
True. For the cast it has, I'm surprised at how unknown it is. Because that shit is like unheard of, unspoken of.
The film broke even. It has $68 million budget and grossed $68.3 million. Which is... And it had generally negative reviews.
Which is weird. Why? I don't get that.
I mean, I don't agree with it, but I think I can see why, just knowing general criticisms.
We live in a society.
But yeah, it makes no sense with the cast. I mean, obviously, directed by Akiva Schaffer, one of three of The Lonely Island. Also directed Pop Star. Yes, and also directed Pop Star, the greatest comedy movie of all time. Candidate. Seth Rogen was also one of the writers with Evan Goldberg, classic duo.
That is a classic duo.
So
Superbad.
Yep.
Hey, did you ever watch? I think it's called The Night Before.
No, but I remember when it came out, there were so many trailers for it. I saw. I also was like, that was around the time that
Evan Goldberg.
I wonder. I kind of want to see that. I don't know.
I remember I watched it like when it came out, and I was very disappointed.
Oh, really? Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Evan Goldberg. Oh, and, yeah. Okay. So since written by Evan Goldberg with a bunch of other people, of course, but him and Seth Rogen are like a classic combo. So you know what? I was excited. Unfortunately, I mean, granted, I haven't seen it since like 2015. So I might think it's hilarious now because I didn't like Wedding Crashers when I watched it in 2015.
True.
So it might actually be very funny.
Could be worth a rewatch.
Yeah.
Someone's got to talk about these comedy movies because, and I feel like we've talked about this so many times throughout Summer Stiller and probably before, but like these movies that we're talking about, The Watch, even ones that might not be good like Night Before, or other ones that they've written like The Interview or Pineapple Express or whatever, like these types of movies, specifically comedy movies, aren't being pushed in theaters as much anymore.
True. It was such a huge movement.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's a name for those types of movies. Maybe there is. We just don't know. Okay, yeah.
Well, maybe not the movies, but it's like a whole genre essentially, or like it actually refers to the group of people called the Frat Pack.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
It's like obviously a reference to the Rat Pack, but specifically named after the movie Old School. Todd Phillips, Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen that, but Ben Stiller is credited as one of. There's like a core defined like 5 or 6 like members of the true frat pack, and then there's like 70 like associate like sub members, like associated directors, associated actors, and it's like literally like every fucking comedy movie from this time period is in there, and every actor in it. You've got like every single person that was in like all the Judd Apatow staples, all of the Wes Anderson staples, all of like the fucking Ben Stiller, and all of them like cross over, and they're all in movies together at some point or another. You know what I mean? Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, fucking Danny McBride. You also have like Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly. It's literally like 100 fucking people. It's crazy. And it literally is exactly what we're talking about. It's like all of these movies.
Oh yeah, I'm just scrolling through, and we've covered, I think, a good chunk of these, like, or a good chunk of stuff we've covered has fallen into this category.
Right. We have not covered a good chunk of it though, because the list is like
there's like so many. Obviously,
it's like every comedy movie from like 2000 and on.
1990s actually.
Yeah,
it's like so Wikipedia includes like Cable Guy, like
yeah, no,
which makes sense. But yeah, no, like this type of movie doesn't exist anymore, really. Like, and then you get to the bigger picture, which is comedy isn't really a major theatrical push right now. You know what I mean? Just as on that level of issues, like it's just like it's been resorted to like, oh, like we'll make one and sell it to Netflix, or we'll make one and sell it to Amazon. You know what I mean? It's like streaming has absorbed it, but it's not like a streaming has absorbed it. Like, oh, like I want to see this comedy movie, I'm gonna watch it on Netflix. It's like it's just all mediocre. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel the same as it used to. Not even just Frat Pack, but like otherwise. Like, what's the last good comedy movie you saw?
In terms of
release date.
Last, as in like most recently released that I've seen?
Yes.
Bullet Train.
Okay, but does that count as a comedy movie? I haven't seen it. Okay, yeah. No, I'm talking about like
definitely supposed to be funny. Like the whole movie is comedy.
What about like traditional like comedy? Like it seems like the only thing that's in theaters is like there has to be action attached to it, or like you can't put it in. You know what I mean?
I mean, have you seen The Nice Guys?
Yes.
It kind of struck me as a similar comedy to that.
Sure, that's a good point.
It's like some of the comedy comes from like violence. You know what I mean? Violence being one of the 4 pillars of comedy, obviously. I mean, this one obviously is way more over the top and violence centric compared to The Nice Guys. But I don't know. Traditional comedy, as in like, but what does that even mean though? You know? Like,
well, I just mean like
Tropic Thunder's also got action in it. There's like gunfights.
What about like
that.
Something we've covered? Let's say like Something About Mary. You know what I mean? Or like
a rom-com.
Meet the Parents. Yeah, I guess those are rom-coms. I guess maybe that's what I'm talking about. Rom-coms are
okay, but Frat Pack movies, I guess, are just some of them, specifically like Old School or like, not that I like it, but Step Brothers. You know, they're just like just comedy. There's nothing else in it, right?
True.
There's no like. Maybe there is a fucking sliver of romance randomly, but like,
yeah, I mean, there has to be some sort of emotional through line, but
yeah, fair enough. I don't watch a lot of like movies that are just coming out though, so I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, Bullet Train was a convenient example because it's also like the only contemporary movie I've seen. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do want to see that.
Look, don't tell Evan I said this, but I thought it was fucking hilarious.
I'm assuming, obviously, from what you just said, but like Evan didn't like it.
I don't think he watched it, but we were in theaters. Oh, okay. Again, also an action comedy, but we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. And when we saw that in theaters, we saw the trailer for Bullet Train, which obviously came out like.
I've seen the trailer. It looks great.
for Bullet Train. Yeah. I thought it looked insane. In theaters, I was like, dude, first of all, love Brad Pitt. Second of all, it just looks like a fun, goofy little movie, good time. And Evan like looked over it, like I hadn't reacted to it yet, and he looks over and he's like did some like hilarious Evan like criticism of it, which I thought was funny in its own right. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Now I know not to ask you to come with me when I first do it.
Yeah, no. Famously, both in person and this has happened on the podcast, but like there are movies like we'll talk about or like that are coming out soon or like have just come out where we're like, oh, like that was pretty good or like this looks pretty good, and like Evan, if it has just come out, Evan's like, yeah, no, I read the plot for that on Wikipedia and it's kind of sucked. I'm like,
he told me, dude, this is maybe out of an ocean of unrelatability to Evan's media consumption.
it's
Maybe
fine.
the least, because I say that lightheartedly, mostly joking, because him and I have, musically, very drastic different tastes, which we come to heads, whatever the fuck it is. Point is, we disagree on music a lot, and we disagree on movies a lot as well. Not as much, but still. The most unrelatable thing, I can't even fathom the lifestyle that he must lead in this regard. He says he actively seeks out spoilers and thinks movies are better once they've been spoiled.
Yeah,
what does that mean? That's nonsense.
Yeah, no, I think what he told me was like he finds it. I don't know this part. This might be an indirect quote, but like more interesting, I guess, to like have the spoiler and then see how it's done, or maybe not more interesting, but like equally interesting.
No.
Like it's like like it doesn't matter if you hear spoilers because you get to see how it's done. And I obviously inherently disagree with that, but
see, okay, part of it that I can appreciate is that he's obviously very into like film theory in terms of like how movies are made, the thought processes that go into how movies are made, and like the scenes.
No, he's the one who should have a podcast, not me. Yeah,
right. Except it probably would be a lot more technical and more esoteric in terms of wanting to listen to it. If you want to hear him like talk about like how they like invert the colors on like some specific scene in Onibaba from like 1962 or whatever, sure. Point is,
dude.
Okay, I can appreciate that you like to see how the movie's made.
Yeah,
maybe that is the fundamental difference, is that I obviously am watching it for the experience of watching it for like
right. Like you want to be surprised. You want to be.
I want to. Yeah. I'm watching it for the like story, not like. And if it's something if I'm interested in like the behind the scenes, and I'm not just talking about like special features on the DVD menu behind the scenes, but like actually how it was made, and like analyzing that shit, I'll rewatch it. I'll like focus on that shit when I'm rewatching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not something where I'm like, I'm not going into fucking Bullet Train wanting it to be spoiled so I can see how they do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. No. I think, I don't know, we live in a turbulent time in pop culture where it's like you have a side of people who like will ingest anything that's given to them. That's the reason we're in the position we are with, for example, comedy movies and why they're only on streaming, right? Like people got used to like only wanting action-centered / superhero movies in the theaters, movies which I love, but I mean, I think it's a pretty clear truth that that's the case. People who will ingest anything. And then you have the other side where it's like the film bros, where I think obviously Evan, who's our friend, falls into, where it's like people who will pick apart everything, will discount anything before even giving, like there's no chance given. It's just like, oh, this is coming out? Well, it's this type of genre, or it's from this company, so it must be trash, and it must be for children. So I'm going to read the Wikipedia plot. / I don't care about this, don't talk to me about this, you know what I mean? Depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very interesting phenomena, I guess, that comes with having such a massive amount of content pumped into our culture.
Yeah, I guess, dude.
Tug.
Kill one, Nick. The thing I love most in the world. I just want to mention.
Soundbite.
Yeah, that was the only other one I could find that was not like didn't sound like it was coming out of a potato. But that did remind me that we didn't talk about that in Tropic Thunder. The panda scene where he's being attacked by an animal.
True, he kills
and you don't see what it is. It's a panda, and it cuts to the photo of him in the magazine holding the baby panda.
True. Also, the implication there, I guess, is that so Jay Baruchel, who in the movie went to the acting boot camp before this. He's the only actor who did to prepare for like the role as a Vietnam soldier. Determined, based on his math skills, I guess, that based on the duration of the helicopter flight to drop them in the forest, that they were somewhere outside of Vietnam, even though that's where they're supposed to be. They determined he was probably in like Laos or like Myanmar, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they're in China, a very tiny little sliver of land in like central China, which is the only place on Earth you're going to find pandas in the wild.
True.
Because that's the only explanation as to why there'd be a panda there. Also, there's no bamboo in sight, and pandas exclusively live in bamboo-dense forests. Just kind of a...
You heard that, Ben Stiller?
Kind of an Ben Stiller moment. I'll give you a pass, though, because it was a good movie.
Just been corrected by @OurSustainableOceans.
Jesus.
Or sorry, isn't it Sustainable Hour? Or
it is. It is Sustainable Hour. Dude, that's a name I thought I'd never hear again.
You gotta reactivate that account. It's so funny.
I simply just need to log into it and use it. How am I gonna post on it, dude?
You should. I think that'd be a funny progression.
That would be fun.
Yeah, but guys, check out @Sustainable Hour on Twitter. Check out MET3090. What's the code? I don't know. The fucking.
I don't know, dude.
Not how to pirate. How pirates pirate movies. Okay, it's not how to pirate.
How internet pirates illegally download content.
True.
It's not a tutorial. Okay, it's a documentary.
Yeah, if there was, it's the same thing if there was a documentary on drugs and they showed exactly what ingredients and how to make like meth. Like, this is just a documentary about meth, okay? This is not instructions.
Listen, I had to do research. It's not like I knew how to do it going into this. All right, can we get to the watch, bro?
Sorry. Let's get to the watch. Do you want to take that? I mean, this is like, you have extensive notes on this.
Notes are just direct quotes that I thought were funny, but there are a lot of them. This movie is an interesting one. It's, as we started to get into, forged on an incredible cast. You know, you've got Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Jonah Hill, Richard Ayoade as like the main four central characters. Like side characters. You've got Will Forte as...
Not Bill Hader. Why did I say Bill Hader? Yeah, Will Forte.
Yeah, Will Forte as the police chief or whatever, just like some cop that's in the area. The plot of the movie, Ben Stiller, very fastidious young man who...
It's a classic Ben Stiller role.
No, it is. It's like the Tower Heist character, where he's like super serious and like dead focused on like getting stuff done.
It's almost exactly the Tower Heist character.
It is exactly the Tower Heist.
He's very mad about that.
Yeah. He plays like the straight man in the movie, essentially.
Yeah, no, he plays a good straight man.
And he's like starts a bunch of clubs. It starts with a pretty funny what's it called? Like a satire of like the American white middle class like neighborhood suburban guy that's like, I have black friends. And like that's literally what he says. He's like, No, he's like, I have an Asian friend, I have 2 Hispanic friends, and I don't have any black friends yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah. And it's like him like saying hi to like the mailman or some shit. Yeah. It's very on the nose.
Yes.
Very tongue in cheek, which might be the opposite of on the nose. Anyway, he works at Costco as a manager. Also, another classic satire on the same white middle class guy who's like, I started working as like a shelver at Costco, and then 15 years of hard work later, I'm like floor manager, and he's like saying it as if it's like this huge accomplishment that his life has culminated in. Anyway, he has the unfortunate luck or lack thereof to witness, or I guess not witness, but to encounter one of his close friends, one of his Hispanic friends actually, being murdered by an unknown attacker at Costco overnight. He comes to the realization that the neighborhood desperately needs a neighborhood watch because under the jurisdiction of Will Forte's character, clearly there's some sort of force to handle crime that is not there that needs to be. So he forms the neighborhood watch, hence the name of the movie. And nobody shows up to the meeting except Vince Vaughn, Jonah Hill, and Richard Ayoade, who are all very caricaturesque.
Yes.
Vince Vaughn is like the dude's dude. He's like the cool, funny, like man cave guy.
Bostonian kind of,
Yes. Jonah Hill is like he's like a what are they called? Like a Proud Boy kind of.
Yeah, well, it's like I think everyone knows. Like, there's always that one kid in high school, who like is super into the military and wears cargo pants. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
He's like Malcolm Moniz if he was more like.
There you go. I was trying not to say it, but Malcolm Moniz is chill, so it's like
exactly. I'm saying he's like in terms of the military aspect of being aesthetically into the military.
Yeah.
But Jonah Hill's character is nothing like Malcolm.
Oh, no. When I first saw him, I was like, hey, it's kind of like Malcolm. And then he choked a child, and I was like, that's not like Malcolm.
Did he?
Yeah, at the when Ben Stiller does his speech at the game.
Oh yeah, dude, that was hilarious.
The kids are laughing, and he's sitting there like with the knife, and then he looks over at them laughing, and then you cut, and his hand just comes in. He's like staring at the kid.
Yeah. While he's talking or some shit like that.
Yeah, something like that.
In his classic Jonah Hill delivery. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he's like but he's very aggressive. He's very like got rejected from the police academy, so he like wants to be like a fucking.
He failed the physical test. He failed the mental test. He failed the psychological.
He failed the written test. The psychological. Yeah. Very good, very good. Richard Ayoade is like kind of like his classic like nerdy character. But on top of that, also throwing in like a frat pack, like raunchy humor side. And I think it's a good combo, honestly. It's a good role for him.
It's a little spice to his normal character.
Exactly.
Also, when he gets there, you get the return of the joke you mentioned, where Ben Stiller's like, "You're black."
yeah. He's like, I didn't expect someone like you to show up. You're actually, I couldn't have planned for a better person to show up.
That is so funny.
Richard Ayoade's like voice is so good for the character as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have this fantasy of an Asian housewife who thanks me for helping her and then proceeds to suck my balls. Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, they go out. Well, first Vince Vaughn is like, dude, they have like this hilarious scene where Vince Vaughn is like, oh, we should go check out my man cave in my basement because it's like it's got beer, it's got a fridge and a fucking pool table and shit. Mm-hmm. And Jonah Hill, I believe Jonah Hill is like, oh, it sounds a fuck lot better than this. No offense, because like in Ben Stiller's living room, it's pretty good. So they go there, they're hanging out. I don't think. Oh, they're all like ignoring Ben Stiller because he's like his classic character. He has like a fucking like graph on like an easel that he's like trying to read them.
Yeah.
And they're all just like trying to hang out and like listen to music and shit. We get this funny scene where Vince Vaughn's daughter comes in the garage and asks if she can go hang out, and he's like screaming at her, just like, and she's like, it's like the kind of like the opposite of the normal stereotype in a movie where the teen is like really moody and doesn't listen to reason. Complete opposite, because she's like the high school girl. She's like, Dad, can I go to my friend's house? And he's like literally just like screaming for no reason. Like, it's like, fuck no. And she's like, Dad, I'm trying to talk to you like an adult. I want to have a serious conversation. And he like is like childishly like interrupting her and like shouting at her.
Yeah. Well, it's also in the middle of him telling Ben Stiller, he's like, so why don't you have kids?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
like,
my angel. That's my daughter.
Yeah, he's like, you gotta have a kid. It was the best thing you could do for your life. And then she comes in and he starts yelling at her.
Yeah, no, it's
very
good.
good timing. Yeah, the
Ben
daughter.
Stiller-
Sorry,
go on.
I was gonna say the daughter. People might recognize. She's now in The Boys. Have you seen The Boys TV show?
It's good.
You would like that. I think it's great. She's one of the main characters. But yeah, I was surprised to see her there. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. You're saying Ben Stiller or something?
Oh, he goes home because they're not paying attention to him.
True.
And there's also a subplot that's referenced in like 4 or 5 scenes in the movie where Ben Stiller's trying to have a kid with his wife, but he's very clearly not making the time he needs to be fucking her. And he's constantly like leaving when she's like trying to have sex with him or some shit. Anyway.
He's also sterile.
Yeah, but that's not revealed yet.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
She doesn't know that. She doesn't know that.
She doesn't know
thinks
that.
they're just trying to have a child.
Yeah.
So yeah, some shit happens. He goes home. I think some other stuff might happen, maybe. Point is, the next night or the next day, they're like hanging out outside, or like they meet up for their first like real like meeting or some shit. And Vince Vaughn has prepared them jackets with like this like logo on the back that's like Ben Stiller had already drawn up a logo, which is like an eye with wings, like looking over the neighborhood. And Vince Vaughn has replaced the eye with like a flaming tiger. And Ben Stiller is like, I don't get it. What are we, a doo-wop group? And Vince Vaughn has like this hilarious line where he's like, first of all, doo-wop groups were known for closing ass, which he's like, music was their hobby, closing ass was their job, which I've literally never in my life heard that terminology.
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't even know what it meant at first, but through context, it is made evident that closing ass means getting laid. And I also heard it again in Wedding Crashers used by Vince Vaughn, so maybe he invented this fucking term, because I swear I've never heard it before.
It's just a term he uses, and obviously both films include improv, so he just happened to improv it twice.
Right, yeah. Don't know, it's funny. They go on patrol for their first night. Their whole goal is to catch whoever killed Ben Stiller's co-worker from Costco, who was the night guard.
Yep.
And throughout the movie, we can kind of tell they all think they're buddies, and they all mostly are friends, except Ben Stiller's kind of like, he's not really in it for the friendship, and his friendships kind of seem very superficial. For example, the first scene where he interacts with his coworker from Costco, his coworker just became a U.S. citizen. He just passed the test, and he shows off this like tattoo he got in celebration. And Ben Stiller, supposed to be his friend, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so happy for you, but hide that tattoo because it's not company policy." It's like this guy's kind of an asshole. Clearly, not actually like a good friend to any of these people. You know, he's just kind of there. They go out on patrol. They're staking out Costco in the parking lot to try and see the killer because, you know, that's all they can think to do. So they're all in the car. They're just chilling in the parking lot. It's the 4 of them. There's some good back and forth going on. Vince Vaughn like crack open some beers, and Ben Stiller's like, "Open container," and Vince Vaughn's like, "It's not a big deal. The car's not moving." And then Will Forte pulls up in a car next to them in the cop car, and he's like, "Hey, what you guys doing? It's the big bad neighborhood watch." He's essentially just mocking them. Obviously, no one takes neighborhood watches seriously in real life either.
True.
They're like, "Oh, we're staking out Costco because that's, you know, the killer always returns to the scene of the crime." And Will Forte, which becomes like a running joke throughout the movie, is like, "Yeah, and you're back," you know, making some kind of implication that he thinks Ben Stiller is the killer, which comes up pretty frequently. Anyway, Will Forte like makes fun of them for a while, and then writes him a ticket for open container, which is pretty funny because also it would literally realistically have been impossible for him to have seen the booze because they like hit it before the car was even anywhere near
put
him.
it down, put it in between your knees or something. Yeah,
it is a good scene there, and they get their first call. Someone calls them to come to like the track at like the neighborhood like high school or some shit. They show up and get egged by a group of teenagers who are making fun of them. Hilarious, they don't. No one takes a neighborhood watch seriously. Again, further reinforcing that. They chase down and Ben Stiller tackles the ringleader of this group of kids, who's some like little dickhead, and they take him into this police station to penalize him for egging them. And there's a very funny interaction where they're like telling Will Forte, who's like in charge there, they're like, "Oh, this kid was egging us," and Will Forte's like, "Wow, we're gonna put him behind bars." And they go through this whole scene. They leave, and the kid's like, "You're not gonna do anything to me, right?" And Will Forte's like, "No, of course not." And the kid goes, he's like, "Well, can I get a ride home?" And Will Forte, who's confiscated his skateboard, or Ben Stiller confiscated the kid's skateboard, and then gave it to Will Forte. Will Forte has it. And the kid's like, "Can I get a ride home?" And Forte's just like, "Fuck no," and just throws the skateboard across the room. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, kid ends up leaving, and then we see some shadow of something that looks not like an alien, some kind of beast or something. Or not like a human, rather.
I was gonna say
something to that. We don't want to spoil it, you know what I mean? Something's chasing him. We see its shadow. It's running on the rooftops, like jumping across a roof. So clearly, some crazy shit's going on. And it's implied the kid gets killed. I think it like shows him get killed off screen or something and escape.
They also mention it later.
Yes, they do mention it later when Will Forte accuses Ben Stiller of killing him.
Yeah.
So they're like, the guys are like partying. They're all singing "Taking Care of Business." No, it's not "Taking Care of Business." It's the other Bachman Turner Overdrive song that's always on 107.9.
Fucking.
Yeah. No. It's what is it? Just haven't. No.
That's gonna bother me.
No, it literally is. I can like feel it on the tip of my tongue. It's
You see something?
You ain't seen nothing yet. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, you ain't seen. Yeah. That's it. Good job.
So they're saying that they're all celebrating their first like successful mission as their night watch. When suddenly there's a sickening thud as they hit something in the road, and we're like, we're gifted this beautiful scene where everyone in the car is freaking out, and everyone's talking at the same time, but overshadowing all of it is Jonah Hill, like loudly and like very emotionally. He's like, "Was that a kid? Did you just hit a kid?" And he keeps going on about it, and he's like, "Oh, you're in a lot of trouble. You could get 15 years in prison." And then immediately Ben Stiller starts like freaking out because he was driving, and then Jonah Hill goes back and he's like, "No, don't worry about that. That's not what's important." It's very good. They get out of the car to find some weird green slime in the grill of Ben Stiller's car.
And a weird tentacle.
Yeah, there's a little chunk of tentacle hanging out of it, which leads them to all speculate what they could have possibly hit, which they call someone suggests it's octopus, and Richard Ayoade picks up the tentacle, and he's like, "Yep, that's octopus. Fresh one." It's so good, dude. They're like, "Oh, it's clear what's happened." Ben, you said it earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Vince Vaughn's like, "All right, it's clear what's happened. Derek, is that his name? Is it Derek? I think it's Derek.
Evan for some reason.
Sorry, maybe it's Evan.
Why? Is it?
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up. Go on.
So he's like, "It's very clear here what happened. Ben Stiller." I'm just gonna say Ben Stiller. Stiller.
It is Evan.
Okay, Evan. Evan obviously accidentally hit a crate of octopus that fell off a truck that was heading to a local sushi restaurant. Yeah. And then they, 30 seconds later, I don't know how they got to this part, but then he's like, "Okay," he says the same line. He's like, "Okay, it's clear what happened. Evan obviously accidentally hit a Japanese man who had eaten sushi."
Yeah. No, a Japanese man who was eating an octopus.
Oh, sorry, yeah, eating octopus, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And
then you have the slime.
Yeah, you had that hilarious line that I didn't even remember until you said it.
Yeah, no, it's Jonah Hill's. Ben Stiller's like, look at this green stuff. This is the same. I saw the same green stuff near the body of Guzman, the character, the guy from the beginning of the movie, his friend Guzman. And instantly, again, I said this before. We were talking about this, but like the timing is so perfect. Like this joke, like again, on paper, would I feel like might not really work, but it's done really well. It's like same one near the body, and then Jonah Hill's instantly like, had he just won a Kids' Choice Awards? And then like starts to explain that it's like, yeah, like you got slimed, like you get slimed when you get a Kids. I don't know, it's very funny. Little.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's also like we'd said. There's we were talking about this briefly before we started. There's another Nickelodeon Green Slime Kids' Choice Awards reference in Tropic Thunder, which not only two Ben Stiller movies, but also coincidentally the same two we were doing in one episode already. Kind of interesting.
True.
It goes to show how amazing and immaculate our planning was when we designed the schedule for the summer of Stiller.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's talking to Jay Baruchel shortly after. This is in Tropic Thunder. I'm explaining the reference.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.'s character essentially convinces Jay Baruchel to side with him in terms of it's not a movie that's just really happening. And then immediately after, Ben Stiller goes up and he tries to convince him it is a movie. It's like the exact opposite. And he's like, I'm really glad you're working on this with us. I really see a Kids' Choice Awards in your future for this. You'll get slimed and everything.
And also I remember now Jonah Hill, when he's talking about the slime, the Kids' Choice thing, he's like, yeah, you have to do something really significant with like kids film to do that to get that award. It's very funny. Improv. This is a classic Ben Stiller improv fest where it seems like a majority of this had to have been improv. I also read a review where someone was talking about, and they're like, I guess that's why some people don't like this movie, is because there's so much improv that's like chopped up within it. I guess it just comes down to taste.
All the dialogue is very fast paced, like just little back and forths.
Yeah. Well, it's like the review I read was like talking about that and talking about how, again, it's just everyone looks at it differently, but like most of the dialogue in this movie, like you said, is like most of the comedy in this movie is based in the dialogue and like banter, which is because of the improv. Whereas they said like it would have been more, I guess they find more value in comedy that's done through physical things too, which is a little bit in the movie. Like you have Jonah Hill, his knife. You have the third act against the aliens sort of thing with their dicks exploding. But
nice spoiler, kid.
Sorry, censored right there. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, so they're all discussing what's happened with this tentacle and green goo. Oh, there's a hilarious. They like touch it, and I think taste it also, and they're like going on about how every single aspect of it is cum-like. They're like, it feels like cum, smells like cum, some shit like that. They're like, there's like a very good, like very quick off like Vince Vaughn reaction where he's just like, they're all like, yeah, it's like cum. Like he's like touching it to see for himself. He's like, it's very cum-like. It's just like a good little quick delivery.
Yeah.
He's like, his mind is blown that it is very cum-like. Anyway, it's in front of this old guy's house, a farmhouse, because they're in like rural Ohio essentially. And they find this weird orb that's like looks kind of like a metal bowling ball in this guy's easement right near the car crash. And the guy comes out of the house and he's like, "Get off my fucking property!" And he calls Ben Stiller sweet lips. And you can see Jonah Hill like look at Vince Vaughn and he's like, he like confusedly like mouths sweet lips as if he is pretty good. And they eventually get chased off the property with a shotgun, but not before stealing the metal ball secretly. They end up going to a scrap yard, or like no, it's just some like farmyard with like a tractor and shit to like test out what the metal ball is, and they end up sticking their fingers in it, and it shoots out a laser that blows shit up. So like, this is some Joker ass technology we've just found, and they all think it's like the CIA or something.
Yeah.
And how does it progress from there?
I believe they
they want to go back to the farmhouse and talk to that guy to do something, but I don't know.
He calls them.
What.
He calls them and is like, "Are you guys on my roof?" Remember this?
No, yeah, I know, but there's a reason. Because remember, there was the whole scene where they're talking about Jonah Hill seducing him as a distraction.
No, yeah, you're right.
But why would they? I can't remember why they were trying to distract him.
To get inside his house for some reason.
Yeah, but
I think they thought that he was involved with it because they're like, why would it be in his yard? He must be involved in it. You have to get inside there and get intel.
Right. Yeah, I think it was to get intel. There's like this hilarious back and forth where they're all like throwing around the idea of Jonah Hill like going in there to like seduce this old man to like as a distraction. And
I just want to say the funniest part of that for me was like you expect Ben Stiller to play the straight man through that because he has
true.
And
yeah,
in the middle of it, he's like, yeah, that actually might work. Like,
yeah, no, it's
hilarious. Yeah,
there's a bit of a turn there. I just want to find it because that shit was so good.
Yeah, but yeah. In case in point, they go back there later. The guy calls them. He's like, "Are you guys on my fucking roof?" And they're like, "No, sir, we aren't. We gotta go." And they assemble the watch, go to the house, and find the alien there. Ben Stiller does. He has a funny scene where he's like trying to communicate with it by looking in its eyes, and offers it some gum.
It's like Jack Black with the candy bar in King Kong.
True.
That's what it reminded me of.
Alien obviously comes out. Is evil. You see the little guy's dead.
Yeah.
Then actually this part made sense, obviously. Well, I guess we don't want to spoil it, but Ben Stiller hits it in the head with a gnome, which they think kills it, but actually just knocks it out. They bring it back to the man cave and have a montage where they're partying with it, take photos.
It's like a photo shoot, which was also pretty fun.
Which one of the photos will probably have to be the cover, half the cover for this episode, right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what else.
That's pretty good. Dude, I just thought it was so funny when they were like they were coming up with the idea for Jonah Hill to seduce him, and Vince Vaughn's like, "Oh, put a wig on him. He'll go in there," you know. And Jonah Hill's like, "I am not." He's like, "I'm not willing to go past second base with this guy, but if it comes down to it, I will." Which is like the classic.
And Vince Vaughn says something like Vince Vaughn, like, "You're gonna get fucked in the ass or something." I don't know.
The worst case scenario, he wants to dance to some oldies. No, he's the best case scenario, he dances to some oldies. Worst case, you get fucked in the ass. It's so good. It's just a great scene.
I don't know if we skipped over it or it happens after this, but there is the Vince Vaughn's daughter party scene.
Oh,
they split up.
That's later. That's later.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
but there's a scene that actually like you could say preludes it, but also
on the Facebook
sets it up. It sets it up. Yeah, where he checks his daughter's Facebook and sees a video of her making out with some tool, and he goes into her room.
I hope you said the line I think you're gonna say. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know it's the same.
Yeah, you must be because it was my favorite. I wrote that. That's one thing I actually wrote down in my phone.
It is genuinely hilarious. You know, you have to know, and I'm sure everyone watching does. Vince Vaughn's delivery, where he just like says shit like fast paced. He's a modern day fast talker. He's up there with Eddie Murphy. You know, Shia LaBeouf at one point was in the running.
True.
They're fast talkers.
I'm sure if you look at the backside of those DVDs with Vince Vaughn, they're going to say fast talking X.
Fast talking Repo Man becomes Santa Claus's brother. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like the same thing. He's always a fast talker. He's like fast talking. He's like, yeah, I was on your Facebook. So what? Yeah. What's up with this? What was his name? This kid had a name.
I will look it up because there's no way I remember.
There's no. It's not super necessary.
Henry?
But
Is it Henry?
No.
The watch characters.
No, Jason. It was Jason.
Okay, there you go.
Right. He's like, hey, what's up with this What's up with this Jason character? What's up with this boy toy? What's his Toy Story?
Dude, I lost it.
Yeah,
the way his delivery
so
is impeccable. Comes out of nowhere. Yeah,
Vince Vaughn might have some of the best line delivery of like comedy history. It's awesome.
Who's this boy toy? What's his Toy Story?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Toy Story. So good. And then she's like, Dad, just get out of my room. And he's like, okay. And then he sees like, it's a classic thing I've seen before. Like high school girls will have a collage of like pictures on their wall.
Even college girls. Yeah.
True. That's so true. And his delivery is what makes it so funny. He's like walking, he's like, and what's with this? What's with this collage? He has like this long drawn out, like he's in genuine disbelief. Very good. It's to show the relationship and to set up the relationship between him and his daughter, and to set up her relationship with this boy toy, which comes into play later.
His Toy Story does in fact come to play later.
It does. We do get to know. We know it. We get his Toy Story, and shortly after that, actually, that scene I think happened before they went to the old man's house and found the alien and took the photo shoot with it. I think that was before that.
I think so.
Also before that, there's a kind of a bonding scene between Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller where they're on a park bench in the neighborhood.
That's when they get the call. Yeah, you're right. It's right before they go.
Oh, you're right. That's where they get the call. Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn are hanging out on a bench just talking. And that's where it's revealed Ben Stiller's infertile. And Ben Stiller is like talking about how, he's afraid to tell his wife. And Vince Vaughn's like, why are you afraid? She married you, not your dead jizz. Which was so good. That's his bluntness too. Very funny.
True.
He also, Ben Stiller's like dancing around saying the word penis. He's like, the down. And Vince Vaughn's like, you're what? The prick? Just say prick.
Yeah.
It's good. He's very, very crass. He's an Uncle Buck type character.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, everything we just said. They, before the scene you were referencing, which is also a great scene, very funny, actually. But before that, they realize, oh, shit, true. I totally forgot about the big reveal, right?
True.
No, that isn't yet. Okay, so, how did they find out? It was after they killed the alien.
So they kill the alien, they bring the alien back, it gains consciousness and escapes.
During the photo shoot. And it attacks them in the man cave, destroys the man cave. And then they have it like pinned or some shit. They somehow overpower it, and it like says to them in English, "We are already among you," and then like grabs the metal ball and runs
and
away.
Then that's when Ben Stiller realizes he's like, my creepy neighbor, who we've seen like 2 scenes of.
Yeah, his creepy neighbor's like looking at his window and like always talking about
how fit he is.
Fit human specimen.
Yeah. It's like this. He must be an alien.
Yeah. Also the body of Guzman, Ben Stiller's friend who was killed at the beginning of the movie, was found skinned. So they're like, oh, they're among us. He was skinned. They wear our skin. They look like us. We don't know who's an alien. So there's this funny ass scene where they're at Costco the next day at like a fake display of like a campsite, and they're like sitting in the camp chairs with the fucking fire burning, and they're like in the campsite, and they're like, oh, we haven't slept, and we don't know who to trust. It could be anyone. It could be those people. And it's like a montage of them like literally just making fun of like customers at Costco saying that they're aliens because of how they're behaving. And to go back to one of my favorite Ben Stiller lines of all time from Little Fockers, where he says he played a little algae type water plant or some shit like that. We can go back and find the line at some point, but he has like a little algae seaweed
type creature or something like that.
He had a very similarly delivered line in this movie that I thought was funny, where they're like, look at these people,
magic beans.
Look at that lady.
It's kind of like magic beans. Yeah.
He's like, look at this old lady, and it's her picking up like a grapefruit, and he's like doing an impression of her. He's like, oh, what's this little weird circle human fruit? It's pretty funny. Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like what an alien would be thinking. And fucking Jonah Hill, I think, is like, he's like, look at this little asshole. And it just shows like a fucking. Was it Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, he looks like the little kid eating ice cream.
Yeah, it's like a fucking child. Yeah, it's like a child eating ice cream. He's like, look at this asshole. Look at
this little asshole. So primitive, so messy, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, and then they reassemble to go scope out this neighbor's house.
In Costco, buying Magnums.
True, they're like
condoms. And Vince Vaughn yells, "There's no way your dick's that big!" and the kid just like grins, like strikes a troll face and walks away.
Yeah. Then they go to stake out the neighbor's house. Something weird is going on there because he's having the neighbor's in Costco and he's like, "Oh, Evan, I'm having a party." He invites him to a party, right?
It's like he's like, "I'm having a meeting, a get together in my basement.
Some characters.
There'll be a lot of interesting characters there." Yeah, and so they're like, he walks away, and Ben Stiller's like, "He's the alien! He's the alien! He's the alien! We have to go and check it out." So they race back to his house, where they walk in on his wife, spread eagle, on the dining room table. Jonah Hill sees everything.
The little one saw everything.
Yeah, that little weird one, the little one saw everything, which is such a good line on his wife's behalf. And Ben Stiller's like, "I can't fuck you right now. I have to go stake out something that I can't tell you about because it's a secret. Because those aliens are real, Morty." And they all run out, and his wife's like, "Cool, my husband sucks, I guess." And they're all sneaking in the hedges, in the fucking bushes near his neighbor's yard, and they see him greet the door to some strangers and take them inside. And they're like trying to be quiet, and obviously they're all really loud as shit. And Vince Vaughn gets a phone call from his daughter saying she's going to a party that the parents aren't going to be home. And he said she can't go, but she says she's going to go anyway. So he's like, we got to go. And Ben Stiller's character is like, we can't. This is too important. This is like the fate of the world rests on. Is like, this is literally the fate of the world. It doesn't matter that your daughter's going to a party. And there's kind of a schism in the group where Vince Vaughn's like, "Listen, you stay here, you do this. This is too important. I gotta go." And you know what? We already have such good. We work so well together. Jonah Hill, Franklin, that's his character. He's like, "Franklin, you're coming with me." And like, before he even finishes, Jonah Hill has like this hilarious line where he's like, "I'm so fucking far ahead of you, it's not even funny." And he's like already walking away like towards the car. And so they leave. Ben Stiller's furious because he's like, "The watch is falling apart. I'm fastidious, and everyone's not listening to my rules." But Richard Ayoade stays with him, and they're like looking through the window because they hear like screams coming from this guy's basement, and they're like, "Fuck, it's the alien nest." And then suddenly they get jump scared by the neighbor who's behind them, who silently approached, and he's like, "Why don't you come inside?" And he's like leading them into the basement, and they're like, "This is it, we're gonna die." Turns out, big reveal, Morty. They open the doors to the basement, and it's a sex dungeon, and there's like a 50-person orgy going on in this guy's basement. And
Ben Stiller's like, "We gotta get out of here, man. Come on." And then Richard Ayoade's
he's approached by an Asian housewife.
Yes, who asked to suck his balls, and he's like, "I'm gonna see this one out," or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see how this plays out. Yeah.
Yeah, we get a tiny cameo of also the Lonely Island, the three of them jerking each other off in a circle.
Little fucking
talking
Lonely
about
Island
the Oscars or something.
Yeah.
So Ben Stiller leaves, and is that when he walks in on his wife having wine with a friend, complaining about how he doesn't have sex with her?
Yeah,
is that when
when he runs home and he tells her that he's fertile.
Yeah,
infertile.
Like, yeah.
And then
also I saw that the actual line Vince Vaughn says about the kid isn't "look at this asshole," it's "look at this little piece of shit." Which is even better, I think.
That's funny. So then Richard Ayoade is back. He knocks at the door. Ben Stiller's like, "Having a moment with my wife. Can we not do this right now?" He's like, "It's important. You're gonna want to hear this." And then they all meet back up, and he cuts his hand open. Also, his wife is not part of the watch. Cuts his hand open. Green blood, and Vince Vaughn is there, and he's like, It's come like. He's
Yeah,
fucking alien.
yeah. They find out Richard Iwadi is an alien. He's been
Yeah.
the whole time, apparently.
And he explains to them that the alien's plan is to come to Earth, send up a transmitter that will bring in the alien armada, and they'll destroy Earth and whatever.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue.
I was gonna say, but he said that he learned the value of human life and culture or something, so that's why he's telling them, and that's why he's in the watch. Anyway, yeah.
True.
So he's like, get out of here while you can. There's hours before the world's gonna blow up. Or not the world's gonna blow up, but the aliens are coming. Get out of here.
He also tells him the signal that the aliens are gonna send to like call in the mothership is located at Costco.
Yes.
And
what's your question?
Oh yeah, is there any direct line that states he's always an alien, or is it up to the viewer to determine whether or not he became an alien within the time frame of the movie, and he was a human when he first was introduced as a character?
That's interesting. I don't know, actually. I feel like you're led to believe that he's been an alien the whole time.
Right, of course.
Because there's the moment I didn't mention before because it was a spoiler, but when they first see the alien, Ben Stiller and him, the alien just like is staring at Richard Ayoade instead of eating him.
True.
Which shows now, I mean, looking back, like, okay, something was off there. He knew that he smelled like he was an alien or something.
Had you seen this movie before?
No.
Oh. Right, yeah. So, I guess you're right. Good point. I can't drop something. I can't find it. Anyway. Yeah, he reveals he's an alien and runs away. And they're like, fuck, we can't just... Dude, that just really hurt. I just kicked something and it fucking hurt.
Damn.
Anyway, they're like, we can't just like sit down and let the world be destroyed, we got to do something about it. So they head off for Costco with Ben Stiller's wife, who's now part of the crew.
They get guns from Jonah Hill's house first.
Yes, he lives with his mom, and there's a scene where he's like really rude to her.
Get the
and like
fuck out of my room.
Yeah. And then after they leave, he like whispers to her. He's like, "I'm sorry, mom. I just wanted to be cool
big
for
man.
my friends."
Yeah, I want to be a big man in front of my friends.
Yeah, it was very Jonah Hill of him, to say the least.
Yeah.
They go to Costco. There's an alien. Oh, they call the cops on the way to Costco, and they're like, instead of saying, Ben Stiller's like, he's gonna say that there's aliens, but he knows the cops won't believe him. So instead, Jonah Hill like takes the phone, and he's like, Ben Stiller did it. He killed Guzman. He's gonna be at Costco or something like that.
Yeah, he's captured us.
Yeah. Obviously, we know Will Forte thinks it's Ben Stiller the whole time. So they're at Costco. They're inside. There's an alien that is like leads them to a grate in the floor, and they're about to go after it when Will Forte and his partner show up and make a big scene. And they're like, "Look, there's aliens!" And he's like, "Yeah, right. You're under arrest, Ben Stiller." And then his partner gets killed by an alien. And then he's like, "Holy shit, aliens are real!" And they have like a fight, and he gets shot or something, doesn't he?
Who?
Will Forte. He gets like stabbed or something.
Oh, well, first his partner gets blown up. Did you say that already?
His partner gets killed because the alien like shoved its arm through his chest.
Yeah, and he like tries to put his heart back in his chest.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot. Who did he get shot by?
That's what I'm saying. But I have a memory. I feel like
he just gets thrown. I don't know. Something happens. He's injured.
Yeah. So they leave him
with the wife
behind with the wife while they go into the grate to try and find the alien signal to stop it.
Yeah. And then Vince Vaughn takes on his daughter's boyfriend, or not boyfriend, love interest.
He does get thrown.
Happens? Okay, yeah, he gets thrown. Vince Vaughn fights the guy who tried to have sex with his daughter, who turns out to be an alien.
We totally forgot to cover the actual party scene when Vince Vaughn runs away with Jonah Hill. they like go to the party. And it's like a high school party, and like the boy toy is like trying to pressure Vince Vaughn's daughter into sex when she's clearly not into it.
Well, she says no towards the end. She literally is like no, and he's like,
yeah,
one, and then before it progresses anymore, Vince Vaughn and Jonah Hill come in.
The nick of time.
He's like, man, you guys ruined it, and like he tries to like walk away.
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
You can explain this. You also had a good a good quote from Jonah Hill.
Should I just play the voice message? It'll be funny.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, guy tries to walk away. Kid tries to walk away. He's like, hey, get back here, fuckhead. They're in the middle of the party now, and the kid like instantly throws Vince Vaughn through a glass door, which is also a sign that he's an alien early on.
True. It's like a feat of human fucking Herculean.
And then Jonah Hill like pulls out his knife and he just like he like smiles and just walks past Jonah Hill, obviously. Then the kid goes away, and then Jonah Hill is there, and everyone in the party's looking at Jonah Hill. He says this.
That's right. That just happened. You don't tell your friends about this. You don't tell your parents about this. You put it in your dream journal. You put it under your pillow, and you lock it up.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I said that immediately after I rewatched that clip, so which is why it was so perfectly quoted. But yeah, so that happened earlier in the movie. We forgot to mention.
True. So yeah, he's fighting the boy toy, and he's like, I can do this myself. So Jonah Hill and Ben Stiller's character are now on their own. They have to go. They find the transmitter, which is the metal ball, and Ben Stiller climbs up it, and he's like, there's fucking aliens there that are like fighting, and they're like, they have to defend it, and they're like, what do we do? Shooting him's not working, and then suddenly their balls start exploding, and we're like, holy shit, what's happening? Richard Ayoade shows up with a fucking shotgun. He's like, guys, I'm on your side again. They're fucking.
The weakness is the penis or the balls. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dicks. And then
So they tell Vince Vaughn the weakness is the dick, right as he's like being like fucking curb stomped by the boy toy. So he reaches up and rips the guy's dick off, and he wins the fight. And then he shows up, and they're fighting like hordes of aliens. Also,
he's like, Magnum XL my ass or something.
Yeah, didn't even need two hands.
Yeah,
rip it off.
Sorry, yeah.
So yeah, they unplug the transmitter before it's too late, and they're running from like hundreds of aliens. They crawl up the ladder out the grate where they first crawled in, and to block the aliens, or at least buy them a few seconds, they push a refrigerator over the grate so the aliens can't crawl up it. They run out the store. They're in the parking lot with Ben Stiller's wife and Will Forte, and essentially it's there's a pretty good I don't remember how this fucking happened. Maybe you can remind me the specifics behind it, but somehow they like rig the entire Costco to explode, and that's their Hail Mary, their victory is concluded when of course they don't rig it to explode. I'm retarded. They fucking take the orb that they put their fingers in and that shoots a laser, and they shoot Costco, and it envelops the entire store, and then the entire store explodes. And right before it blows up, Ben Stiller has this funny ass line where he whispers. It's like, oh my god, it's so good. It's like so quintessential Ben Stiller. And I say that about like all of his fucking lines. True. It's so good. He like is about to blow it up, and he's just, goodbye, sweet child of mine. And then the fucking building blows up.
It's like out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's so good.
Great. Oh my god.
And it blows up. They're like, it's like raining fire. Oh, they're also closer to the store than his wife and Will Forte, who are out in the distance, and they see it blow up, and it looks like they're all eaten by the explosion as well. But then they walk out of the fire like badasses, And it's
like Will Forte's like, are they dead? He's like talking to the wife who's like peeking above the cover of the cop car. He's like, are they?
He can't see because he's injured. He's lying on the ground.
He's like, I'm so sorry you lost your husband. It's okay. You'll move on. You'll find someone else. And then he's like starting to trail off as the smoke is clearing, and he's like, actually, I'm single. And as he says single, like, trails away, and then they come out of the dust. It's great.
Yeah. He's hilarious. We can get into a Will Forte conversation after this.
True. Fucking fall of Forte next year.
Dude. Next year, more like, have we entered fall yet? I don't know. After the summer is over?
Might as well. I guess there's no.
Anyway. Fall of Forte. That's good. Anyway, they come back and the police are arriving, and one of the last scenes is Vince Vaughn's like talking to the guys. He's like, in all that like debris, there might be some knickknacks. We can go. There might be some knickknacks. And like as he's talking, Jonah Hill because it's clearly on fire, he like pulls up his fucking collar over his mouth like a fucking fire shield. He's like, don't even finish it, and like starts walking off screen as he's like leaving already. And Vince Vaughn starts walking away, and Ben Stiller's like, that all the stuff's insured. And Vince Vaughn he's like, no, just get a couple knickknacks and just like trails off. He just like walks away. It's so good. It's so good. And that's like the end of the movie, I think.
Well, then you get a small little montage after of like their life afterwards. Will Forte's new partner is now Jonah Hill, who's in the police force now. Vince Vaughn. I don't actually remember what Vince Vaughn does. I don't know. His daughter's chill.
Something with his daughter, right?
Yeah. His daughter has like a new boyfriend. He's like,
scared, she's going to prom.
Scared of him.
The kid's like, "Is it true your dad ripped your last boyfriend's dick off?"
She's like, "Yeah."
And she's like, "Yep."
And he's like, "All right, be back by midnight." And the kid's like, "Actually, sir, I was thinking 10:30. If that's okay with you." And he's like, "What are you sucking my cock for, kid? You trying to be a suck up motherfucker, pussy?" I don't know.
Jesus.
That's the Vince Vaughn fucking.
He was very vulgar in that movie.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah, Ben Stiller finally has a black friend. Maybe I don't remember what his montage was.
I think he's just back to normal, sort of. Well, no,
but he has him with his wife, like having sex with his wife.
True, and then he has like
and they have adopted a child.
Yeah.
And then Richard Iwadi's fucking montage scene is him going back to the orgy,
which is hilarious.
He's a fucking grandfathered into the. He's a seasoned orgy clientele.
All in all,
pretty good.
I don't know what. I don't know. I guess it's because I'm like so I guess a sucker for improv, for lack of a better term. Like, obviously we've talked about how incredible it is in Night at the Museum 2, in all these other Ben Stiller films. So I feel like I actually, this might be a hot take, sort of. Not a take, but like this is a fact. But I feel like I laughed out loud at more things in this than Tropic Thunder. Not that this was like, not that this was funnier than Tropic Thunder, or that one is funnier than the other. I just feel like the type of comedy in Tropic Thunder overall is more like baked into the scenarios. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you're just like, you're in a constant state of like, this is funny, and then every now and then Jack Black will say something, or Ben Stiller will have a funny line. You're like, laugh. Whereas this is like situational, and then round of improv, and you're laughing. You know what I mean?
I think in the end, I do think it's a funnier movie, but probably just because I think that is like more funny, like that comedy, that kind of like dialogue based comedy.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Obviously, they can both be funny. I just think, and maybe it's just easy. You know what I mean? It's easy to just like watch this shit and be like, yeah, these are hilarious ass conversations.
Yeah, and it feels more like personal, like stuff when you're joking around with your friends, sort of.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a real dialogue, conversation, joke. You know, it's good. It's good.
It's good.
Which similar banter. Literally the day after I watched The Watch, I watched Wedding Crashers because I was in a Vince Vaughn mood. And I told Nabeel this earlier before we started the episode. I think Vince Vaughn is candidate. Or not, well, yeah, true. But I think The Wedding Crashers is candidate for one of the funniest movies of all time. It's so fucking funny. And it's because of the same banter between like him and Owen Wilson and fucking Bradley Cooper. Christopher Walken is so good in that movie as well. And Rachel McAdams is also very funny. It's just a great, like perfectly sculpted movie, I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to rewatch that for fucking trying to think of a V word.
I was literally just the vernal
fucking
it's the vernal equinox, right? That's a thing, right?
I don't know.
Vernal, it means summer.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, March 20th is vernal equinox. We'll do vernal equinox of Vaughn.
Vaughn? No, vernal equinox is spring equinox. I'm retarded.
There you go.
But a vernal pool is a body of water that is, seasonal. It doesn't always have water in it, so it can't support fish. So it only has like insects and amphibians and shit in it.
Mm-hmm.
We could do something with that, maybe.
True. We'll have to look into it. But I think for now we should finalize by doing the ranking.
I agree. The Watch. Genuinely, I laughed out loud so much at that movie. So, dude, I'm giving a lot of the stuff we watched recently very high.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it another 7, but I'm not sure yet.
Interesting. I might give it an 8 or an 8.5. Only because I feel bad giving out so many 9s. So willy-nilly even. And I also think, so I guess I can kind of see what your argument was, which was that the reason people might not like it is because of the whole improvisational aspect of it, Yeah. I think part of the reason, I think the plot line and the story is kind of like mid-tier.
Exactly.
That's kind of simplistic and kind of also just like...
It drags it down a little bit.
Exactly. So really the best part is just the dialogue, you know what I mean? I think what might set it a tiny bit below something like Zoolander, which was hilarious plot and hilarious like comedy aspect.
Yeah. What did I give 6 or 6.5s to?
Starsky and Hutch was a 6.5, which I think that's pretty low.
Yeah, no, whatever. We'll reevaluate that one.
Something About Mary also 6.5, and that is it. You didn't give anything a 6 yet.
Okay. Well, I definitely laughed at this as much as Something About Mary. I feel like...
Dude, I feel like this is way better than Something About Mary. I don't know way better, because it was
I ranked Mary higher because I felt like it had more, like, influence and, like, it's symbolic influence sort of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna give this a 6.5.
Interesting.
I think it would be 7-ish, but the plot was little,
Yeah. I'll give it an 8 just because of the sheer volume of like jokes that I thought were noteworthy. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Okay. So to recap, we both give Tropic Thunder 7, The Watch 8, 6.5.
Yep.
Interesting. Stay tuned for the summary of Stiller in a couple after the next 2 episodes where we go over our full ranking and summarize our findings.
It's the bonus episode of the season. Exactly. Kind of sort of like a, you get DLC for a game. It's like that's what the summary of Stiller is going to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, if you don't have any other thoughts, I think we've completed. Ready? All right. Well,
very nice.
Well, guys, don't forget to do any number of the things we told you to do at the beginning of this episode.
Sure.
And keep your eye out on social media. Justin, I have to ask, it's required. Anything you want to plug?
Not that I can think of.
It's fair. I mean, we do see you every episode, so...
Yeah, it's like I don't have that many projects going. Nothing new yet, but just check out King Reef regardless. True.
I agree with that. And yeah, so we will catch you guys next episode for the more serious. We're getting a little more serious. We're talking about Green Brew. We're talking about Marywood Stories. We're talking about Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
True, the serious Stiller episode.
True. Serious. That might be the title. We wanted to do Tone Master for those who saw Tower Heist. You know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't fit with the S theme, so maybe not. We'll see.
Sure.
We will see. All right, guys. Follow at Filmatic Podcast, at the Fish King FX, at our Sustainable Oceans Sustainable Hour.
Sustainable Hour.
At Justin Fischler on YouTube, MET3090, How to Pirate.
Yeah. But check out my school projects.
Yeah, what was the one with Frank Alvarez?
Oh, dude, that was from 9th grade. That was STI so awareness.
That was hilarious. Not that topic is hilarious, but
of course.
Anyway, guys.
Smoke and mirrors, guys. Welcome to the movie factory.
To the movie factory.
To the movie factory. We'll see you next time. I've been Nabeel, and he has been
Justin.
And we'll see you next time on the Summer of Stiller. Key the Summer of Stiller jingle.